Population collapse is going to make the economy of the next 100 years dramatically different from that of the last 100 years. Over the last century, the population has done nothing but go up. With more and more customers around, it's easy for businesses and the stock market to grow. And demographics over the last 40 years has created a surge in economic opportunity. But all that is about to change. Fertility rate over the last 40 years has come down dramatically. Now, fertility rate is just the average number of kids a woman has. You can imagine if they had 2 kids, they'd be replacing themselves and then some male counterpart. We call this the replacement rate. Now, for reasons I'm not going to go into this video, the replacement rate actually needs to be higher than that, about 2.1 or 2.2. You might think that that's a trivial difference, but it's a 10% difference between 2 and 2.2, and a 0.2 difference in fertility rate has a dramatic impact on countries' population. So here we can see world fertility rate coming down, getting close to this line that I kind of put in for replacement rate. And you can see in the US, we've been below replacement rate for a long time, down around 1.8, which is actually pretty high for the developed world. We can see it in the other parts of the developed world. So here in Europe at 1.4, China, of course, famously having an incredibly low fertility rate at 1, meaning your average woman is only having 1 child in her lifetime. And India, the new largest country in the world, even below replacement rate at 1.98. And this was a year ago. This is probably even worse now. In fact, if you look at the world, there's only one continent on the planet that has a fertility rate above replacement rate, and that's Africa. These countries here that I'm kind of scrolling through are either all at or below replacement rate, and then these countries here are above replacement rate. It's pretty much all Africa. And even in Africa, we can see the fertility rate coming down dramatically over the last 4 years, and they are really headed to catch up with the rest of the developed world. The fertility rate kind of somewhere between like 1.5 and 1.9. So why are fertility rates dropping so dramatically? It's really just a product of the developed world. As women have better access to education and healthcare, they have less kids. As child mortality rates drop, families are less concerned about their kids surviving to adulthood, and the need of having children to take care of you in the old age in a developed world is not as big of a deal. Similarly, kids are expensive, and so is the modern world, so we have less of them because of it. But if fertility rates are dropping, why is the world population still going up? Well, it's because humans live about 70 years, so there's a dramatic lag from when an area drops below the replacement rate until their population actually starts going down. Now, earlier I talked about the fact that these demographic changes are creating an economic boom period right now, and in order to understand that, we have to look at population pyramids. So let's take a look at India around 2000. This is a population pyramid. It just takes all the people in India and groups them into 5-year group age categories and stacks them from youngest at the bottom to oldest at the top. You can see that when India was above the replacement rate, each successive 5-year generation was bigger than the one before it, which makes there be kind of very few retirees. I'll put this line here for when people generally leave the workforce, and then a line here for when people generally enter the workforce. There's a small number of retirees, a nice, pretty healthy population of workers, but a large number of kids. But fast forward to where we are now, where India has dropped below the replacement rate, and you see that over the last 24 years, each successive generation in India has actually been getting smaller. And kids are expensive. We don't have to pay for them to eat or to educate them, which frees up a lot of resources to be able to spend it elsewhere, making your society in the short term more productive. So even though India's population is still going up during this time because more people are being born than are dying, it's creating a concentration in India's workforce and nowhere else. This will make India more productive than it was in the past for a similar sized population. Not only is population still going up, but that population is concentrating in the workforce, making them more productive. Similarly, the amount of the population on the planet that is becoming a developed consumer is increasing. Apple doesn't just sell smartphones to the US and Europe, they're now selling them to South America and Africa and China. So the population as a whole is getting bigger, and the percentage of that population that we consider a developed consumer is also increasing, kind of creating this perfect storm of economic opportunity. But all of those things are going to start coming to an end in the very near future. Population is almost certainly going to level off and start going down sometime in the next 25 to 35 years. And the amount of the population that is becoming a new consumer is going to slow down. It can't be any more than 100% of the population. And if you think we're a long ways off from that, within 6 years, we expect 88% of Africans to own a cell phone. The world is modernizing at a rate that would probably shock you. Now, of course, while all this is going on, let's look at what happens to the population pyramids. So now you can see these smaller generations of kids are starting to catch up with the workforce. You fast forward to, say, 2050, and you see that the population pyramid is starting to become a population column. And the workforce portion of the population is starting to shrink again because these smaller generations are starting to have an impact. And similarly, the bigger generations focus at the top is creating a situation where the number of people retiring, leaving the workforce, is going to start becoming very similar to the number of people entering the workforce. Fast forward to 2070, and you see the situation where you have more people retiring from the workforce than entering the workforce because of this slimming down of the population pyramid due to a fertility rate below replacement rate. Now you might say, like, 2070, that's a long time from now. You know, let's look at France right now in 2024, and they are not far off the situation where they have the same number of retirees as the people entering the workforce. The United States, because we have a fertility rate a little better than most other developed worlds, is just about entering the point where our retirees are going to start meeting the people entering the workforce. Not only is population decreasing, but it's concentrating in the retirees, the most expensive part of the population. There is no way that this does not impact the economic landscape for all of the foreseeable future. We may be headed towards the greatest boom and bust cycle that humanity has ever seen. It hasn't been since the bubonic plague that we have seen such dramatic shifts in human population, and that impacted Europe for centuries. Now, there is so much more to talk about, and I've done a number of videos on this topic. I would recommend starting with this one, and I put a playlist in the description. Otherwise, stick around the channel for similar content, and I will talk to you soon.